Hello and welcome aboard the Knitty Stew podcast. My name is Leanne. I am the Knitty Stew. Stew is short for stewardess. I am a Canadian flight attendant and a knitter, and this is my YouTube channel where I bring you on the road, pack you in my suitcase, and bring you to overnight cities that I get to stay in as part of my job as a flight attendant. This is episode 31, and I'm coming to you today from a location where I have been a few other times. It is my favorite overnight in all of Canada. I am in St. John's, Newfoundland today, where it is super sunny, but the wind is making it rather chilly. It's minus 8 degrees Celsius, which is 17 Fahrenheit. So I thought I'd get on here and do a catch up. It has been, I think, 6 weeks already since my last episode, and I have a lot of knitting and whatnot to catch up on. I would like to do a land acknowledgement, and I also had tried to film with the background of the harbor, which is just stunning right out front of where I'm sitting today. But the light it made half of my face completely shadow, and then the other half was super bright. So I'm facing the back of the room here, but I'm going to turn the camera around and do a land acknowledgement, and then we'll get started talking about all the knitty things. I respectfully acknowledge that the land on which I'm gathered today is the ancestral homelands of the Beothuk, whose culture has now been erased forever. I also acknowledge the island of Ukdahumguk, Newfoundland, as the unceded traditional territory of the Beothuk and the Mi'kmaq, and I now acknowledge Labrador as the traditional ancestral homelands of the Innu, Niitsitaane, and the Inuit, Nunatsivanut, and the Nunatuk-avut. I recognize all First Nation peoples who are here before us, who live with us, and the 7 generations to come. I don't always manage to do a land acknowledgement, but I wanted to do one here today. And if you're new to my channel and wondering about that sort of thing, I actually really like what it said on the website that I got, the pronunciations of the First Nations, how they were pronounced. I like how it says why I would do a land acknowledgement. It says, as we open our hearts and minds to the past, we commit ourselves to working in a spirit of truth and reconciliation to make a better future for all. So yeah, with that all being said, welcome. And I really wish I could have that as my backdrop. The backlighting just made it too dark, and now the forward light is, I think, good, nice. I am surprisingly rested on this episode today, so hopefully my brain is kicking in and all the little details and minutiae come to me as I'm talking about my knits. And before I start on what I'm wearing, my finished objects, works in progress, footage from St. John's today, and a couple of other little surprise things to chat about at the end, I wanted to let you know that I can be found on Instagram, which I'm pretty active on. I am the Knitty Stew there, and also Ravelry as the Knitty Stew. I am super up to date on my Ravelry projects. For whatever reason, the knitting aspect of my life is probably the only and most organized aspect of my life. So thank you for following me here. If you are new, I'm glad to have you here. If you've been here for a while, thank you so much. April the 13th marked 2 years of doing the Knitty Stew, and I want to thank you all, for anyone new or anyone who's been here for a long time. I adore the community that is here and the connections that we have. I don't know, it just feels like a big family hug of happy knitters from all over the world. So thanks for that. I can't believe 2 years of doing these podcasts. I do try and do episodes once a month. This month it turned into like 4.5 weeks, and you know, it's just tough sometimes. Life gets lifey, and my flying schedule doesn't always facilitate having enough time to do a proper chat in the hotel room, which is where I prefer to do it from, because my house is it's cat chaos at my house. If you've seen any of my other episodes where I tried to do it from home, it's very echoey. I've got a kitten there and 2 adult cats. I have a 21-year-old son and a husband that marches in and out, And so the hotel is the best place to do these chats because uninterrupted and I can get focused. And yeah, so let's get started, shall we? To begin with, I am wearing a ranunculus. This ranunculus is special. It's in homage to St. John's because it's knit up with Windswept Fibres, colorway called Foggy City that I bought here on one of my first Knitty Stew podcast episodes when I came here. This is the ranunculus by Midori Hirose. I'll turn around so you can have a look. Back up a little bit. This is probably one of my most worn garments, and I actually didn't wear it as much when I first made it because I had cropped it like a significant amount, and I went back, I think last December, and picked up stitches and continued on, like ripped back and picked up stitches and made it a little bit longer. I definitely learned as I've gone more into my garment making journey that my circumference on arms is significantly tighter on these small circumference needles. So there is, like, these are snug. That's the sleeve, all right. No positive ease there. And wearing it with a shirt underneath. This is just making me extremely happy. And I wore it to go see my friend Barb, who is the dyer behind Windswept Fibres, the sock yarn that I made this in. Hi, this is future editing Leanne popping into the middle of the video to say sorry to the owner of Windswept Fibres, who throughout the entire episode I keep calling Barb. The owner of Windswept Fibres' name is Pam. Pam is lovely and understanding, and I apologize for calling you Barb. I have no idea why I started doing that. Anyways, just to clarify, and back to the show. Bye. And she got to see it knit up, and yeah. So my what I'm wearing, that's been discussed. I did speak about it in a previous episode, and at the end of this episode, hopefully it's not too long and too chatty, I am feeling rather alert, so it could go on for a little bit. I will put links on the end screen of my other St. John's episodes in case it has piqued your interest about the area, or if you just want to see go back in the past and see other footage of this beautiful place. Okay, next up I've got 4 finished objects to talk about, and I'll start with the some that you saw from the last episode that were AFOs, almost finished objects. So we'll get into those next. I just realized that I thanked everyone for being here and spoke about the podcast as a knitting hug of knitters around the world, but it's more than just knitters. I apologize for that. There are crocheters, makers, spinners, and some people who literally just watch to see the footage of where I go. And so, yes, thank you to all, not just knitters. Okay, finished object number 1. I showed you the work in progress in the last episode. This is the Gither cowl, which I was test knitting / preview knitting for Amy Palco of the Meaningful Stitch podcast. And I finished it 2 days before the pattern was released. It was March the 23rd. Amy released it into the wild on the launch of the Scottish Yarn Festival. And I finished mine in 3 lovely colors based on a Scottish kilt by Gerard Butler. Truthfully, I'm going to put it on for you. What inspired this the most was the Scottish Yarn Festival yarn here shown. This is called Tate, and I purchased that yarn actually and then was pairing yarns around it. And so my other 2 colors were just mainly based on what would look super awesome next to it in my color palette. So I'm going to put it on for you. This super cozy. Oh, talk about knitted hugs. This is one of them right here. Oh my goodness. I could go out in the -8 degree with the wind and I would be warm and cozy. This is awesome. And you know what? Oh, there goes the fridge kicked in. I'm going to get my notes because I did finish this several weeks ago, so I don't want to forget the details. I ended up using in its entirety 882 yards of fingering weight yarn. The pattern is knit in 3 sections, so each color has its turn as the main color, and it's intended to look like tartan. So it was inspired by the look of actual woven tartan, and it was such a fun pattern repeat. I really enjoyed getting through it, and it was kind of addictive because each of these repeats, and then I couldn't wait to switch over to the next part, which would take this one was Biche Bouche, dark blue green as the main color, and then you switch out and do a slip stitch all along in each one, and I think it's a stunner. I'm really happy and pleased with it. I had spoke about my third color choice here, which was Brooklyn Tweed Loft when it became the main color. I'll just get a little closer for you. And then the accent color was the Tate, and then you have the dark blue green taking the contrast. So there's a main color, contrast color, accent color, and it's all charted. So if you are comfortable with charted patterns, which that is my preference when it comes to, I think anything actually, color work or texture, anything like that, I'm able to keep track of where I'm going, and I like that better than written patterns. So yeah, I had to do a provisional cast on, which was one of my goals for this year, to do a legit provisional cast on. I was going to try the barber method, barber cord or stitch saver method, but I ended up actually just using a cable from the Chili Dogs method, provisional cast on. So mine, I knit the large version, and I believe Amy now has 2 sizes. So the large version has 3 sections, and it was intended to be twisted in a Mobius twist before you graft the 2 live stitches together. But I was having a hard time getting the right length, and what I was doing is after each section, I was blocking it on the needles. So I would soak it with the needles and stretch it quite aggressively around this long tube that I have. And at the very end, I think it must have been my stitch gauge, row gauge, that was off, so that I wasn't getting it to be as long as the pattern called for, which I believe was like 54 inches before you join. So I didn't twist. So that's kind of an option, not twisting it at all. And then I ended up adding some extra repeats of the chart to make it longer. Great pattern. I found that, yeah, all I needed to do was really be mindful of my yarn choices, which were, all fingering weight yarn is not created equal. So the loftiness of the beautiful Scottish Yarn Festival Tate, and then the Brooklyn Tweed, which is woolen spun, and then the nature of the Biche Bouche, very different fingering weights. So I had to watch my tension, but I put it on a circular needle, and I used a wooden circular tips, and it kind of spread the stitches out in a probably larger than they should have been spread out because it's knit in a tube, which yeah, I felt like that actually helped with the tension. And then blocking, which is magic, saved the day, a wet block, and then pinning it out to dry. So I'm very happy with this. Even the dark section here, it looks really nice in this light actually. I thought that the contrast really wasn't that spectacular, but I don't know, it's kind of a low-key vibe, and I really quite like it. And I'm pretty sure it was a viewer on here, or was it on Instagram? The darker section of your tartan cowl would be considered the working or the field cowl, or field tartan, the everyday tartan that Scots would wear while doing their daily chores. It was typically a drab version of their dress tartan. So perhaps that section there is the field tartan. My final thoughts on it, Again, we're just, if I could have used 3 of the same base, so if I would have had 3 different colors of the Scottish Wool Festival yarns versus just the thinner nature of the other 2, it would have made it easier for my tension, but I still think it looks fabulous. And it's a very cozy, and I feel very Scottish, and that's how I put it on. And I don't find it itchy, I just find it cozy, and I really like it. So please go check out the pattern by Amy Polko called The Gither. And thank you to Amy for letting me test knit this. Finished object number 2 you saw as a work in progress on my last episode. This is the Lottie cardigan by Carrie Bostick Hogue, which I knit up for my niece, great niece, Maddie, who is 5 years old. And I had made her 2 previous Lottie cardigans, and she wore them to the death, I believe. So, and outgrew this last one that I made for her. So this is for a size, a child size 5, and I'm hoping that it fits her. Her mom, my niece Lisa, sent me the measurements, and I went based on those, and I need to take it up to Edmonton. This yarn is part of the story 100%. I knit it using some farm yarn, milled from a mill, which is about an hour outside of where I live in Calgary, called Rosebud River Fibre Mills. And her base here is called Invocations, and this is the colorway Compassion, which it reminds me of a pink elephant popcorn, if you know what that is. It is a blend of 80% Targhee wool and 20% alpaca. So squishy. As a result of those different fibers, there's a different way that the dye gets taken up. So there's some brighter pink bits and some undyed pieces with the white. I just really enjoyed the texture of this all over garter stitch and then this yarn. Makes me very, very happy. It's a very quick knit. This is the 4th Lottie cardigan I've made. I could say now that this is my go-to infant and child and toddler cardigan. It is a US 8 for the body, which gave me an 18 stitch gauge. So that's a 5mm needle. And it's knit from the top down seamlessly. The collar, I used a US 7 4.5mm needle. Did some ribbing, and then you just do some increasing raglan style. Leave the sleeves on hold and work the body flat, which is garter stitch is so comforting. Love it. And the only tricky part, I would say, and I think this actually happened on this previous one I made, is I really have to be mindful when I pick up those the sleeves on hold to knit garter stitch in the round. Yeah, I mixed up and I knit 2 rounds. So garter stitch in the round is knit 1 round, purl 1 round, and it ended up having there was an extra purl round or an extra knit round, and I noticed the imperfection right away, and I was like, ah! And I had yeah, so I had to rip back and do that again. But lovely, cute little classic cardigan. I did a slip stitch on each row, slip one purlwise with yarn in back, knit across, and just knit the last stitch all the way. And then I added these cute little kitten buttons, because you know, cats. So that's it. Finished object number 2 is Maddie's Lottie cardigan. And yeah, I hope to get up to Edmonton soon. I need to go see my nieces and my sister who lives up there, and you know, I need to get up there. Okay, so that's it. Finished object number 2. Finished object number 3 is the one thing I actually do not have with me physically. I left it back home because it is a mussel burra. I finished that for my husband Dave, and he was going snowboarding, I think tomorrow, so I left it with him back home. I will insert footage of his finished mussel burra hat. This is a pattern very well known, made, designed by Isolde Teague. I made the adult medium size in the gauge I got using Arcane Fiberworks merino nylon fingering. I used a US 1.5, which is a 2.5mm needle, Yes, I deeply love my husband because that's a long tube. Basically what I've coined the eternal tube of stockinette stitch. I worked at 17 inches in length from the increases to the start of the decreases. And I only had 4 grams going into the decrease section. So the first time I made this, I didn't have quite enough to finish the decreases, and which is fine because I just used another little leftover I had of the Arcane Fibre Works and use that to cinch up the top. So yes, this is the colorway of the stunning yarn is called Rambling River Rock, and Dave loves it. Great travel project, like if you're looking for something to take with you and have handy, you just have that with you in your purse, and every time we would go for a drive or just anytime we're waiting, that's always a great project. I think I'm going to probably call it, that's it for me on the Mussel Burrow for a little while, but I am a big hat knitter, and that was a good one. It was a special request from Dave after he tried on my first one, but the colorway Busy Bee wasn't his jam, and he got this one instead, and he likes it a lot. So that's it, finished object number 3. I cannot wait to show you finished object number 4. Get the cluck out of here. Oh my gosh, hello, hi, meet Esther, okay? Hi, this is Esther, my emotional support chicken. I jumped on the emotional support chicken train. I could not resist. It was the yarn. The yarn was the inspiration, and also seeing Yana of Finished Knitting Stories and Taylor from Wool Needles Hands. I couldn't resist. And also, who else did I see? Malene of The Playful Knitter. She made like, I think 3 or 4 or more. And I jumped on it because I am a sucker for toys. I get right into toys, and this isn't, I don't even know necessarily a toy. This is an emotional support chicken. It's huge, and let me just tell you about Esther. First of all, did I say the pattern is by the LA Knitting Tree? Let me just get my information in order before I get started here. Okay. Yes, the emotional support chicken really doesn't need much of an introduction. It's gone viral. These chickens are multiplying faster than bunnies. It is by Annette Corsino Blair. I purchased the pattern, and then I found a YouTube tutorial, and I was watching this tutorial and thinking, oh my gosh, this person's really like disclosing a lot of information, like stitch counts, the whole bit. And then I realized, oh, that's actually the designer, and she has created a tutorial step by step on how to make your own emotional support chicken. Highly addictive. I could see why. It is knit flat, and then you use a lot of short rows to create the shaping and the ginormous breasts. And I just had like a little bits of scrap yarn in Brooklyn Tweed Shelter and some acrylic, beak color that I had. And then I believe my safety eyes are I think it's a 12 millimeter safety eye. And the yarn here is some that I had hand dyed, I think 2022 or 2021. And the colors just screamed emotional support chicken. I was initially going to give this away to my friend Talia, who I think actually watches the podcast. I'm sorry, Talia. I made this and I couldn't give Esther away. I stuffed her with a sock, an old sock that was missing its pair, and put some rice in there. And I thought, wouldn't this be a great, like a magic bag, one of those bags that you heat up in the microwave? As long as there's no metal on it or anything that could catch fire, you could have an emotional support, a warm emotional support chicken. So yes, Talia, if you are watching this, she is a dear friend, highly knitworthy, and she also loves chickens. So it's a match made in heaven. So stand by for that, and please go make your own. It's lovely. the modifications that I made on it. And if I make it again, I used a US 6 4mm needle, and this is DK yarn that I had dyed on. And I could have probably gone down to even a sport weight yarn. Like Esther is pretty big. She's a big girl. I mean, that's not a bad thing. But as I think Malene had said this, the playful knitter, that if you're gifting somebody a very large knitted chicken, do they want that? Where are they going to put this? All I know is Esther's coming with me. She did fit in my suitcase, and I can't wait, because now I can post this on Instagram. I took some pictures of her. Maybe I'll put some up here. It turns out Esther is a bit of a photographer. She quite likes to capture candid moments and walking in nature and seeing what she can get through the lens. Yeah, that's why I couldn't give her away. I think there's some cooler names out there for your emotional support chicken. I think on the pattern notes here, she called hers Lindsay Lohan and Jennifer Lopez. But Esther, I just started calling her Esther right from the get-go. As soon as I added her eyes, she takes on personality. I'll wrap this up, and the thing I'll talk about though was that I did German short rows for the shaping rather than wrap and turns. That German short rows are just my preference to work them. You just do one more stitch extra and past, and then you come back. There's videos and tutorials about that on YouTube. And the seaming was actually somewhat tricky, because you knit the whole entire chicken, and then you knit a separate bottom panel here. This is a separate piece. So joining it and trying to make it look really nice, I found was pretty tricky, but the yarn, the hand dyed I got here, I think covered up any, not great seaming. It is garter stitch, right? So it can kind of make for an easy picking up to try and do good mattress stitching. Nobody needs a perfect emotional support chicken, because life's not perfect. So anyways, yep, this is Esther, my finished object number 4, and yeah, that's it for finished objects. I will put in my footage from St. John's here today, and then when I come back, we'll start discussing my 4 works in progress. I was fortunate enough here in April to have 2 overnights in St. John's. So the first time I went, I was actually really fatigued. I grabbed coffee, and I decided, since I've brought you guys here many other times, that I would show a little bit of different footage and also go to the other standalone yarn shop in town. Now that Cast On Cast Off has moved out to Triton, this is the only other shop in town, and it is called Wool Trends. Please enjoy the footage here as I walked in and met the retail staff here. This is Lori. She was busy winding up a sweater's quantity of Briggs & Little's yarn for a sweater. Good luck with your sweater. She does carry a great variety of Canadian yarns. She does have some hand-dyed. I noticed there was some Iztex Let Lopi, a great selection of Estelle, and a variety of implements and knit picks needles and embroidery floss, all kinds of stuff. They even have some Windswept Fibres for when Pam did not have her own physical space, which is what I came to town to see. I was so excited and happy for Pam to have her yarns, her beautiful hand-dyed, in the Artisan Loft, which is a beautiful space located right on Water Street. If you go out there, you will be greeted by Guinness, the sweet doggo, and Guinness's sister Riley. That's Joanne on the right and Pam on the left. Please enjoy the footage of this lovely shop. I'll start off with Barb's corner of her hand-dyed yarns, and then I will show you the rest of the space.
I combined, I guess, my love of yarn and my love of Newfoundland, and just, yeah, it seemed like it was meant to be.
I think the community is very happy that Pam has her own space. This here is Glad, or Gladys. She came in to grab some more. She knits for a charity out there. And Pam is just so inspired by the environment and by all things Newfoundland and Labrador. So please check out Pam on Instagram. She also, I believe, has a Facebook page and her website, windsweptfibres.com. And enjoy the lovely hand-dyed offerings that she has. Also very excited for Pam. She is going on a cruise with the Grocery Girls and He Locatelli, and she's a big fan. So I love that. Have a great time. You deserve it. You work so hard. St. John's is absolutely teeming with talented artists, and the Artisan Loft is a wonderful combination of retail shop and private studios. And in this place, you will find so many wonderful treasures. There is ceramics, there's prints, there's soap, there's candles, there's leather items. Oh my goodness, so many wonderful, bright, and beautifully made items. So if you ever find yourself in St. John's on Water Street, definitely pop in to the wonderful Artisan Loft. I ended up staying and looking around the store and chatting with Pam and Joanne for, I think it was almost an hour and a half. Just like we were best friends, we'd never met before in person. That's what I love about this community. Afterwards, I stopped at the oldest convenience grocery store in St. John's, grabbed some turkey soup, and headed back to the hotel. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the footage of St. John's today. On to works in progress, the first of which you saw in my last episode if you were here. I am continuing to work on my trace to pullover, which is a round yoke top-down colorwork design by Knit Love Wool. And I got some pretty decent progress, I think, on the body. I think last time I might have been just past the splitting of sleeves, and I've worked it several inches longer. I'm knitting this in Letlopi Icelandic yarn, and this makes me just want to cast off right now with this little bit of shirt popping out the bottom. But yeah, I think I'm probably in good shape as far as maybe just a tiny bit longer. I tend to like my sweaters not too long, and maybe do the ribbing and then pick up for the sleeves here. I should have this done in good time for my trip to White Horse, Yukon at the end of September, which is what I'm hoping to wear it for. And yeah, not much else to say about it. I spoke about it in my previous episodes. I feel like this will be, once I get the sleeves done, maybe I should do those next before I decide on how long to do on the body. And I'm just really liking how the colors are playing with each other. And I have all the details about this, if you're wondering what colors I'm using and needle sizes, etc. in my Ravelry notes, and I'll link all of that stuff in the description box below. Okay, so this is Trace to Pullover by Jennifer Steingass, work in progress number 1. Work in progress number 2 was on my queue in the last episode, and I jumped in and got started on the cocktail cardigan, and I'm making some good progress on it. I'm loving this color. It is a design by MCL Design, or sorry, it's called Tricot Design MCL. I believe her name is Marie Christine, and she lives in northern New Brunswick, so she's a Canadian designer. And okay, I'm going to try this on for you. I'm going to try this on for you. So this is a classic top-down V-neck cardigan. It describes in the description of the pattern, and it's knit top-down, obviously. And the cinch for me was that the button band is knitted all at the same time as the cardigan. And in fact, I'm actually making buttonholes. Where are they right now? I'm already on making the buttonholes as you go. So basically at the end of the cardigan, once you're finished your sleeves and whatnot, all you do is add buttons, weave in your ends, and you're done. So that is right up my alley. And I have discovered I need more cardigans in my life. I landed on this color, which is Poppy in Sunday, Double Sunday, as my friends Jaylene and Darlene of Top Drawer Yarn Studio, the Cut Bank Girls podcast, they simply cannot look at this yarn without singing that song. Non-superwash merino yarn made in Norway. It is so soft. It is actually the yarn that was called for in the pattern, is this Double Sunday. I had spoke about and shown the color that I had wanted to use, and I wanted to use Brooklyn Tweed Shelter in Cinnabar, because I purchased a bunch of that because this colorway has been discontinued. Clearly having a red, orange poppy moment. I'm loving it so much. So this was my Brooklyn Tweed Shelter swatch for this cardigan, and I really liked the way it looked. However, one of the main elements of the cardigan itself is this Purl One Knit One band that starts at the back. I should probably show you that as well. Let me try. Turn around. Yeah, you cast on at the neck, and then you start working in your increases, and it's a I've never done this type of I think it's called a contiguous sleeve increase construction. So really liking that. But when I did the ribbing swatch with my Brooklyn Tweed Shelter, that I did not like at all. And so that being, there it is, like it's so open, and I really wasn't enjoying that. And I didn't want to go down a needle size, because you use the same needle size for the button band, and you just work around and go to the other side and do the ribbing. So I abandoned using it as a result of that. That was not the fabric I was going for. So I popped over to a local yarn shop, Yarn Twisters, which is in Mahogany in Calgary, and I was able to get enough of this poppy colorway, which is 4008. So it takes 11 balls, it says, but I'm already past the split for sleeves quite a ways, and I think my size is good. I am knitting off gauge. As I've noticed, I definitely am a looser knitter than often the patterns call for. So I am knitting the smallest size, the extra small. The pattern itself comes in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 sizes. And because I am off gauge, I'm knitting down what I would normally need is like a 40.5 inch bust. My bust is 36.5, and so for a little bit of positive ease. But with my gauge difference, I am knitting the extra small and just making sure that that I have enough depth, hopefully in my armhole, because that's always where I run into trouble by knitting off gauge. So yeah, so this is what I've got so far. I feel like the light is really blowing out. It could just be from this super bright color, which I'm absolutely loving right now. So maybe I better take that off so that the light doesn't, my iPhone was not liking that, or I'm not sure what's going on. So yeah, I'm making good progress on the cocktail cardigan by MCL Designs. That's work in progress number 2. Oh yeah, I should probably mention what this line going through my knitting is. I would, if I was watching a podcast, I'd be like, what is that? What is that thing? It's actually a lifeline. I decided because of my sometimes running into trouble with not deep enough armholes, I put in a lifeline, and if I need to go back and lengthen the armhole, I can do that. The trouble I had run into in the past whenever I tried to do a lifeline was that I used the hole in the Chiagu needles to pull the small thread through, and then I would always go through my stitch markers and then they would like, no, I'd have to like cut the stitch marker or like pull out the, yeah. So anyways, I think I got this lifeline in there correctly, and hopefully I don't have to go back because I didn't make the lifeline long enough and it actually popped out of my my ribbing part. But anyways, having tried it on, and I have already blocked it. I wet block my knits on the needles all the time, it seems, and it thinks, and I think I'm doing all right. So this is what I've got so far on my cocktail cardigan. Work in progress number 3 is a shawl pattern that I am enjoying a great deal. It is called Soft Focus by Samantha Guerin. It is knit in Wool Dreamers Manchalope, which is an unspun yarn that I had some of but had never knit with yet. And I'm knitting it in the light gray colorway, or is it medium gray? And this is what I've got so far. Oh. So it's an asymmetrical lightweight shawl with this lace texture that grows. You start with just a few stitches and you increase. And my friend Christine Woolen Waves out in Cumberland, BC, both times she's picked me up in the Woolen Waves mobile, she's been wearing her. So I'm literally following her exact colorway and everything. I got the yarn from her as well. I've really enjoyed so far knitting with the Manchalope. It's 100% Manchego wool from Spain. And as far as unspun goes, I like the fact that there are 2 strands here. I don't have to wind the balls together. I am knitting right off of this plate, not having any issues. I've only pulled the yarn apart one time, and I think that's because I might have been doing a knit 2 together and got it a little bit too far apart so that the staple length wasn't nice and tight. So definitely enjoying this. I will say that I forgot how to knit a chart flat because I've been knitting so many things in the round that I kind of want to show this. It's pretty funny. I forgot that you go left to right, right to left, left to right. And so we're just going to call this my gauge swatch. But as I was going along, I'm like, wow, this is kind of a little kind of strange. And the edges weren't lining up. And I mean, it was looking okay, but it was like curving a little bit too quickly. And then I was like, Leanne, you are knitting as if you're knitting in the round according to the chart. So thankfully this pattern actually also includes written notes, because in the chart that she has, the lace repeats are circled in a red square, and so you just naturally keep increasing as it goes out. And I wasn't sure where to add. Let me just talk about this way. So I always use stitch markers to separate repeats in a pattern, whether that's color work, cables, or lace. And it just continues to say, you know, work the edge stitches, do the lace repeats, and increase as you go. And I'm like, well, when do I put in another one of these to separate? So for each of the repeats. So I did have a little trouble with that, but I referred to the written notes, which are in the pattern, and I seem to be on the right track. I really like this color. I do enjoy this Manchalope quite a lot right now. It's so lightweight. Yeah, so Soft Focus by Samantha Guerin is my work in progress number 2. I think we're on 3. So one more to go, and then yeah, we'll get to a little bit of knit and chat. Hopefully this isn't such a super long episode. We shall see. My final work in progress is a cute little mushroom. I am working on the Wee Mushroom Trio, which is a newly released design by Imagined Landscapes, whose name is actually Sarah Shira, I believe. And she's famous for her gnomes. She is a gnome designer. She's well known. Okay, yeah, I'm obviously a little tired from the red eye out here. Anyways, yes, so this little mushroom trio, I'd seen the newsletter. I subscribed to the newsletter, and I clicked on the link, which went right to a tutorial that she has on how to create the cutout base that you would use for stability on this. And then you insert a pipe cleaner. She shows how to do that, and then you can bend the mushrooms to make them look uber realistic. And I thought, yeah, that's something I'm right into, and I can use some of my scraps. I do have some minis of fingering weight yarn, and it's knit up with US 1 needles, so 2.25 millimeter. And then just for this part, which is called the sleeve, it's a 2.5 millimeter needle. So if you're not into small circumference knitting, and this is the largest one I'm working on first, it's a large, medium, and then a small one, then it might not be for you if you're not into that kind of teeny tiny needle stuff. But I'm already at the gills. Next up is the cap, which I'm excited to use. This is a BFL sock mini that I got from a advent calendar in Calgary. This is Max the Knitter. I think it's actually called Max and Vincent in Calgary. And it's like a deep dark green with a little brown, and that's going to be the cap. For the mushroom and the gills, I'm using Crux Fibres in the colorway Alabaster, and that's also her, I think that's actually BFL as well. And then this is old stash that I had, oh my gosh, so long ago. It's from Shibui Sock, and I think the gray is called Sand. Yes. Yeah, so I'm enjoying working away on that. I did bring everything I need to stuff and finish it. I've got a little bit of rice in my project bag here and some stuffing. But honestly, I actually have to study. I've got some training coming up on the weekend, and so that requires e-learning. So I don't know if I'll get to work on the Wee Mushroom Trio, but I did get a good start earlier this week. I think it's so adorable. And I saw Yana of Finished Knitting Stories had made it in DK, and she used like bright fluorescent colors, and so fun and joyful. There is something about spring and summer that I just want to knit all the cute things. So you may see more chickens in my future, and maybe some of the knitted toys from Moosh and Friends, and certainly I will finish my sweet little Wee Mushroom Trio. So that's my fourth and final work in progress. On to 2 projects that are next on the needles, and then maybe a little bit of knit and chat. So yeah, I'll be wrapping this up shortly. Thank you. So next up on my needles, I am going to use the yarn from my Gaetan balaclava, which I wanted to thank you all for your humoring me with me frogging that balaclava that I knitted, which was a great pattern. However, my gauge was off, and I felt that I looked like a character from a commercial, sponge towels commercial. We had a lot of good giggles and comments about that. So thank you so much. As many of you will probably know, frogging brushed baby alpaca silk, mohair, anything like that, it's no joke. That's a tricky thing to do, but I got it all back. So this is from my balaclava, and I still have another ball of the Filconana of Alberta. So I have this from my my balaclava. I still have this, and then if my calculations are correct, I've got a total of 890 yards of material here. Some more of this Crux Fibres in the ptarmigan colorway. That's from my friend Brittany in Whitehorse, Yukon, who is a glorious hand dyer. She's doing a great job, and she's heading off to Knit City, Toronto, and she'll also be at Knit City, Calgary. So yay, yay, Brittany. Yeah, if you don't know Brittany, please go check her out. She is glorious and a wonderful maker, creator, and she has a podcast as well. So this is her logo. There we go. Crux Fibres. Anyways, so what I was thinking of doing, and I'm not sure if I have figured this out. I've been looking through Ravelry trying to figure it out. I have made one love note before, and it's one of my favorites. It fits so well, and I had used lace held double and also mohair with that. So I feel like I might have enough to do a short sleeve version of the love note with that, and then I could wear this with it. And yeah, I think that would be a good use of my Gaetan balaclava frogged project, to use it for that. So hopefully I have enough. Maybe I'll just start, like, what do I got to lose? I'll just, it's a top down, construction. So if it's not working, or if it's like uber duper cropped, I'll have to get more yarn. I mean, I guess that's the biggest dilemma I have, but I think that's what I've got in mind is making the another love note with my yarn from that field project. Okay, my other next on the needles is the Amren. So this new pattern from Johi Locatelli is everything. I just love it so much. And the group of us that's heading up to Brittany of Crux Fibre, who I just spoke about, her family's off-grid cabin, we're gonna make this as a bit of a knit along. And I think actually Tracy, one of my friends, Oliver Rain Knits, she's already done, but we're gonna try and cast off together, or at least maybe do the fringe all together, and then it's like a knit along for our, what we're calling Braeburn Camp Braeburn, which is the name of the place that we're going. So that's next up. I actually got the yarn for it from the lovely Barb of Windswept Fibres, and I think it's going to be just absolutely perfect. So I better get on that, because I'll blink and it'll be the end of September. And that's everything for the knitting chat today. I also wanted to mention a possible giveaway. Not possible, it's happening. Thanks to Barb and her generosity, I would like to celebrate the 2-year podiversary. It might be a little bit too low-key, and I'm sorry, because this is all I could pull together at this moment, but here's what I got. So thank you so much to Barb of Windswept Fibres. It's time for a little giveaway on the channel, just for fun. I am so in love with this. This is Barb's colorway called Mussels on the Beach. Look at that. How gorgeous is that? Yeah. But wait, there's more. Wabam! She threw in a couple of minis if you wanted to use it as a sock set if you win this. It could also be a Musselburgh, or Glad, who was at the Artisan Loft the day I went there, made, it's called the Friendship Shawl. I don't know if that's actually a one skein shawl, but I mean, Johi Locatelli has a lot of one skein shawls, and this one is, the yardage is 425 yards. So yeah, that's definitely something you could make if you win this. Or if you wanted to make a ranunculus, you just have to buy a second skein of this. And I think that's all I used actually, was just over 1.5. I don't even remember. I'm sorry, I should have looked that up. It is on my Ravelry page, but yes, this is a giveaway in Mussels on the Beach. Have you ever eaten mussels? That is the question. If you wanted to put that into the chat, do not use the word giveaway. Apparently that brings the bots. So this is just a little something something to celebrate. And if you're super lucky, maybe you'll win it. I'm actually waiting to hear if my husband and I won a Sprinter van. We entered a contest to win, I think it's a Mercedes-Benz, is that right? Like a made-over camper, which is like souped up. It's got all the things. I'm visualizing, you know, Knitty stew on the road, and Dave and I cruising all over, not at 40,000 feet, but on ground level. The draw's today, but anyways, for this particular draw, that's all you have to do is put into the comment section if you're interested in winning it, if you have ever eaten mussels on the beach, and yeah. Okay, so that's it for the knitting chat and content today. I'm going to grab my cocktail cardigan and maybe do a quick knit chat if anyone wants to stick around for that, if you're here to the very end. If not, and you're needing to get going, I bid you a very happy rest of April, and I hope to see you again in May. And thank you so much for joining me. If you're going to stick around for the knit chat, thank you so much for that. I am loving the fact that I have all day tomorrow and I do not need to set a wake up alarm for today. This is, what a treat, what a gift. Man, oh man, I'm grateful for my job. So much so. Since the last episode, I have a very happy moment. I had a victory, if you will. I won my parking ticket for my street cleaning incident where I was parked and the street cleaner came by. I actually went to trial. So it's interesting because the first time I fought, so you need to know that I've actually had 2 street cleaning infringement tickets. And the first time it was just plain silliness on my behalf. And I went and I saw a prosecutor who was across a desk from me, and we just had a chat and he asked what was going on, and that one went really well. At that time, he didn't have my second ticket on the computer screen in front of him, so I had to go back for this second date in March. This was a real deal thing. I went, it was an actual courtroom. My name was on a docket, and the prosecutor calls Leanne Wilkinson, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is serious. Like, I should have worn my suit and whatnot. So it felt a lot more intense than the first time. However, he said, hey, I see that you're here and waiting. This is the prosecutor. Should we go have a debrief? So he took me into the side office and asked me a few questions about what happened, why I seem to be a chronic parker on the street when they do the street cleaning in the spring. And I just explained that I actually had moved my vehicle by the time the sweeper got through, but the parking ticket is issued right prior to the big trucks coming by. So that was in my favor. Also, I'd explained that I was unaware of the fact that it was coming into our particular side of the street. In this neighborhood where we're living now, they just put it on the main street, and that is supposed to cover all the streets. Where we used to live, they put a sign right at the top of our cul-de-sac, and we knew that, oh, okay, today is the day. But anyway, I won. He let it go. So $185 ticket, wiped away. Yay! I felt very successful, very happy about that. And then we had a little Easter date with my daughter and her boyfriend. We went to see Dune 2. Wow. Before going to see that, my husband said, you should probably watch Dune 1. And also this guy who explains the entire Dune concept and some of the themes behind this epic. And that was super helpful. I will link that below, because had I not watched that and understood all of the families and what the main driver of the whole movie is, all I can say is that I'm a Dune fan. It was such a great movie. And in fact, after we went and saw the movie with my daughter and her boyfriend, Dave and I also rented it again and watched it at home recently. It's incredible. So good. So that was something that that came across my radar in the last few weeks. Knitting this cardigan, and why I've got so much done, I think, is because I've been participating in the Knit One Kill Two read along hosted by Becky of A Hand Knit Letter, who, by the way, is just a ray of sunshine and the best sense of humor, and it's just giving me so much joy. Please go watch her podcast. She is a delight. She's in Arkansas, and I really like the projects she makes. She's a beautiful knitter, and she does other things as well. She's into gardening, and she's going to do some hand dyeing. And her sense of humor just cracks me up. Like, I literally laugh out loud every episode, more than once generally. So the Knit One Kill Two is an example of that. So it's a genre of knitting mystery, and it includes a pattern in the book and also a delicious recipe to make cinnamon buns. The content of the book itself is, it has its moments, but it makes me laugh. It's pretty funny. It's a whodunit. So I'm only on chapter 10, but Becky's knit along is going from April 5th to May 5th, so you still have time. And I'm listening to it on an audiobook, but I'm also, I did get the hard copy book because I need the cinnamon bun recipe, which is, I think, maybe going to be my favorite part. So thanks to Becky for hosting that. There's also actually a couple of other podcasts that I've been really enjoying lately. I've been watching for a while now, recommended to me by Knit My Way Home podcast, Sarah of Fibre. Her podcast is like a meditation for me. I just absolutely look forward to every episode. She is multi-craftual. So Sarah she lives in northern Maine, and she does all the things. She does the knitting, she does the quilting, she does the sewing, she delves into prints, and I mean, you name it, she's got the skills, and yeah, shares her crafting journey, and often she goes over books that she's received or into her library, and I just adore her. So yeah, thanks for doing what you do, Sarah. I would highly recommend checking her out. And I've also been watching Mostly Knitting podcast, which is a lovely woman down in Australia. Her name is Tash. And first of all, she knits, I think, at the speed of light. It's crazy what she makes, but everything she makes, I want to make. So I love that. And she also does tutorials. So she's a teacher, a school teacher as well, like an educator, but she also teaches knitting, I think, at the local yarn shop down there. So her tutorials are very helpful, and I also like the projects she makes and what she discusses about them. And I'm sure a lot of you already watch this person as well. We Grow Wild is also really bringing me a lot of joy lately. I've been sitting back and connecting and watching those episodes. Just a really great way to kick back if you're into the mellow podcast, and also just, joyful and playful and very vlog style. So I'm liking that. What else is going on? Coming up here in this weekend, as I mentioned, I have first aid training at the campus, so I have to do my e-learning as soon as I log off from this and get those e-learnings done. And then the day after my first aid training, Dave, myself, my sister Wendy, and my brother-in-law Robert are going to see John Bonham, which is the Led Zeppelin experience. Big fan of Led Zeppelin, and this is supposed to be quite a production. I'm really glad that Dave was insistent. He's like, we need to get tickets to go see this. And he's been showing me little clips of the John Bonham tour on YouTube, and I'm like, oh man, that's gonna be so great. So that's coming up, really looking forward to that. And BAM. So BAM is birthday, anniversary, Mother's Day is what we coin it. My birthday is May 9th. Our anniversary is also the 9th, and Mother's Day this year, when is that? probably the 12th. So far, the plan is I get to go to Fernie at Tracy of Oliver Knits has a beautiful condo out there, and she has generously invited myself and my sister to come out there for basically knitting, lots of eating, probably chocolate, maybe some movies, you know, the good stuff, all that kind of jazz. So that's exciting. And that same weekend, Saturday, May 11th, is the very first Foothills Fibre Festival happening down in south of Calgary in a place called Millerville Racetrack. And my sister Wendy has a booth there, so she does polymer clay with her friends, and her company's called Mud Pie. And I'm going to go help her at her booth, and she has stitch markers and all kinds of fun little quirky things. And it's a fibre festival, so I'm excited about that. It is the first ever. It's from 10 until 4. They do also have an Instagram account called Foothills Fibre Festival. I think that's what it's called. So yeah, so that's about it. I feel like I talked a lot on this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. My flying schedule for May, it was just released, and I tried to bid for a new destination. I actually have been trying to get to places where I haven't taken you before. I hope you are still enjoying the content, even though I've, brought you to Abbotsford more than once, or brought you to St. John's more than once. If I go back to cities, I hope, if I bring you different content, I hope you still enjoy and continue to like my channel. But yeah, I didn't get the new destination, which is Iceland. So, oh my gosh, talk about a bucket list place to go. And I wasn't senior enough to get it for my May flying, but I'll keep bidding for it. I think we are flying there twice a week right now. May 15th, the inaugural flight from Calgary to Iceland. So I'll keep bidding for that. Summertime flying can be great. We do tend to go places that we only go during the summer because our flying switches from Canadians, snowbirds, trying to go south to the warmer weather, and in the summer we do more cross-country flying so families can connect across this beautiful country. So I'll keep you posted on that, and who knows where I'll come to you from next time. And if you made it this far into the podcast, thank you so much. I am going to sign off. I'm losing the light and going to go find myself maybe some chowder. You can't go wrong with chowder. Thank you very much again for being here. I really appreciate each and every one of you. Until I come through next time, please stay happy, safe, and I hope you find all the joy in your making and your creative life. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.